Rabbi, so welcome back. We're learning Yerushalmi Shekalim. Now, some of you might have done Shekalim before. It does appear in the Bavli Daf Yomi cycle. The only reason why it appears there is because there's no Bavli equivalent of Shekalim. So they took Yerushalmi Shekalim and put it in the Bavli cycle. Actually, when it's in the Bavli cycle, it's around 21, 22 pages. They do it in 3 weeks. Where if we're following the Oz V'Hoda page structure in the Yerushalmi cycle, and it's actually around 2 months. So we'll be going much slower than the speed they go at in the Bavli order. Also, the one that was printed in the Bavli Gemaras, historically, although it was Yerushalmi Shekalim, there were the odd word every now and again, the odd girsa change between the one that got printed in the Bavli Gemaras, right, with Masechet Shekalim, and the one that stayed in the Yerushalmi. So actually there are some minor differences here and there. Let's make a start. So we're going to talk about collecting the shkalim. So first of Adar, the Beis Din already announced everyone to start carefully bringing their shkalim to the Beis Hamikdash. Of course, they will be used for the korbanos for the future year. But they also announced that any forbidden mixed growths should be uprooted. On the 15th, Cohen is on Megillah v'Krachim. We read the Megillah in the walled towns that had a wall from the time of Shor ben Nun. And we repair the roads, and is the various places that got ruined in the winter. There's mikvahs and maim, the various water areas, the mikvahs to clean them, where the dust that gathered there throughout the rainy season. Add water if you needed to add a bit of water. All the communal affairs that are needed to be done. We put signs, new signs on the graves, around the graves, so that the Kohen who can't come near and people who are tahar won't go on top of these graves, because again the paint gets worn off during the rainy season, so they need to do it again. And the Shliach Beis Din would also go out on Chaim, even though they already announced it on the 1st of Adar. They don't just rely on that. We're worried maybe people didn't uproot any forbidden mixtures, so on the 15th of Adar they actually go out to check, and if they do find any Chaim growing, they uproot it. So B'Achav Adar Mashmin. The Lama B'Achav, around the 1st of Adar, they want them to bring their shkalim for Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Titarim Trumas Halishka. And that way we can separate the funds that are needed, Min HaChadasha, from the new funds for the korbanos for the new year, from a new fund that's been collected, Bisman, at the right time, B'Achav B'Nisan, on the 1st of Nisan. That's why we give 30 days notice beforehand, so the money will start coming in, so we can separate the shkalim in its time. Now, he says, Trumas Halishka, the donations of the coins on the 1st of Nisan, Kitchilasa, is like it was when they did their shkalim in the midbar. It says, it was in the first month of Nisan, the second year, the Mishkan was set up. That day the Truma was separated from the Shkalim to buy the communal korbanos. So since the 1st of Nisan, for the first donations they gave, so we use that for generations as well, that every year they should give the Trumas Halishka on this day. It says, this is another source, it says with the korbanos of Rosh Chodesh, it says, this is the oil of the Chodesh, and we have Lachadshe, it says, this should be the first month for you, the first one, Lachadshe to the months of the year. Now the one with the months of the year, we count from Nisan. It says the Rishon, this is the first month, etc. They had to bring Korban Pesach in Nisan. After Lachadshe, also the one in Karbanos, which is Pashas Pinchas, we count the year as far as the new coins coming in from Nisan. Starting in Nisan, you have to bring the Korbanos Sibur, okay? And from the new funds for the new year, we'll get the Korbanos for the new year. Rav Yonah said, Shavah Rav Tavi Rosha, he's left out the beginning of the Brisa, but Amar Sofa, he said the end of the Brisa. The end of the Brisa, we can learn there's a din, that we count the year from Nisan, but it's not so much about the Korbanos from the new fund, as it were. Delay came, Gadodatoni. Now, I didn't really need to say it based on the Bryce in the Sifri. It says, with the Korban Musa Rosh Chodesh, Zais Eilat Chodesh B'Chodesh, Yachal, I might say, Yehitar B'Chol Chodesh B'Chodesh. Should we separate money every month from the Shkalim for the Korbanos of that month? Talmud Lev, it says, B'Chodesh L'Chodesh. No, B'Chodesh Echad, in 1 month you separate the money for all the months of the year, L'Chol Chodesh Hashana. Yachalim, I think, Be'ez Chodesh, it's any month you want. That's why it says Ne'emar Kan. It says the Musaf Chodesh LaChodshei. But Ne'emar Alon you find in when they gave for the Mishkan LaChodshei. Ma LaChodshei, just like LaChodshei Shne'emar Alon with the months of the year. Ein Moinin Ela Min Nisan. We count from Nisan. Af Chodshei Shne'emar Kan with Kabbanas. Ein Moinin Ela Min Nisan. We only count from Nisan. Mashmin al Shkalim. Mahu Mashmin. What do you mean Mashmin? Mashmin means like to pronounce, announce, proclaim. Rav Huda Amar says in Machrizin. It means we message, we announce. We send messages to tell everyone the time of the Shkalim is coming close and it's time to uproot any of the forbidden growths. Now, Hachraza. Why would the people do it themselves? Other obligations they have to do. Why do we have to start sending people around? Echmada Toma, when it says in Divrei Yama, Mayitnu Kol B'Yehuda B'Yerushalmi, they sent out a message, right, to bring, it says, to bring to Hashem the gift of Moshe Eved Elokim. They announced they should bring Masas Moshe, basically it's half the shekel which Hashem commanded in the midbar at the time of Moshe to give every year. Now you find within the Nevi'im they announced on the Shkalim. So they said, we'll also announce the Shkalim every year, first of Adar. Now, Tamad Tanina, in Megillah, in Bavli, we've learned, Ein Ben Adar Rishon Adar Sheni Ela Mikra Megillah Mataz Levyonim. The difference between the first Adar and second Adar, Megillah is only in second Adar, and the gifts to the poor is second Adar. Right? If you give gifts to the poor in the first Adar, you've not fulfilled your duty, you have to do it again. Yeah, the announcing of Shkalim is also a difference between them. You don't start bothering to do it only on the first or the second Adar. If you do it on the first Adar, you've got to do it again. Everyone fulfills their duty reading them again on the 14th. That's the main time to read it. Rav Yosef said, but Yos, now it's right what Shulchan Levi says. Now why do we announce for the Shkalim? In order they'll bring it in the right time till the Chodesh Nisan. If you're going to say they should do it by Adar Rishon, if you tell them to do it in Adar Rishon, well, that's a long time before. Agdan is b'shat shitin yomin. You still have 60 days of the old year to use up, and we're worried they'll rely on a long time between. Oh, it's ages now. You're telling me 2 months before to start giving money for Nisan. There's still time for that. People won't bother bringing the Shkalim. And the same with Kalaim. We want everything that's growing wrongly to be noticeable. And if it's too early, you won't see it growing. If you're going to say they should announce for Kalaim B'Adar Rishon, and the messengers maybe will go out on the 15th, if things are still very small then, you can't really check it. There's no purpose at all with the Beis Din going out on the 15th of Adar Rishon. Right? There's just no purpose. Rav Chizkiah Shah, he asked the Beis Din if they agree that he didn't learn from Rav Yossi Mayata. So you've pushed away the announcement of Shkalim, you wait till Adar Sheni. Right? We don't need such a premature time. We don't want people to be rebellious. The Bnei Bavel, they live far away from Eretz Yisrael. Now, are we going to announce for them from the beginning of the winter? And for the money to get there from Bavel all the way to Yerushalmi, we'll take the money from the Shkalim from the new year at the right time. So maybe they should be giving it months before. Ravula asked Rav Chizkiah, Kumi Rav Yonah, we learned now elsewhere we learned 3 times in the year you separate money from the funds where the Shkalim are. Befrois Pesach, which is 15 days before Pesach, that's Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Befrois Atzeres, 15 days before Shavuos. Befrois Chag, 15 days before Sukkot. And he said to Ramana, he says, Yeyama. Now, surely it means that you take the Lishka from the Shkalim of Ilay Dekrivin, those who are close to Shalai Befrois Pesach. You think, look, the people who are closer, their money will get there for Nisan, right? And we'll take Shkalim from them. Alila and Rechikin, and maybe we'll take Shkalim from those who live further away, Befrois Hatzeres, maybe the 15 days before Shavuos, because their money didn't get there in time for Pesach. Those who are even further away, then we'll take from their money Befrois Chag, 15 days before Sukkot. because it won't reach there until that time. So you see, all people would send their money in one time in the month of Adar. And that's why the shkalim of those further away would take longer to come. Now that's the question against Chizkiah, who said Bnei Babel announced their shkalim from the beginning of the winter. According to him, the people who are far away, they're sending their shkalim much earlier. Their shkalim will arrive by the 1st of Nisan, together with everyone else. So we could have been separating the lishka just once in the year. We wouldn't have to do it 3 times in the year for people who are far away, because they'll start earlier when they send it. So Ramana answered back. Really, all the money, various the near places, the far places, it all came in one go till the 1st of Nisan. But Lama Amru, then why did they say you separate the money b'shloisha prokim 3 times a year? They could have just done it once. They did it to make a recognition, to make a publicity of what they were doing. They made a whole process out of it. So that's why they did it 3 times a year. Now we said, you announce on the shkalim so that the people won't be lazy and they won't bother bringing their money. Now, our review about Pasi b'Shem Rebbe, Hein Nikra, do we read the psukim will we not be embarrassed when the Jewish people need to gather donations from the people of Taiva for doing the Mishkan? It says Kol Nadiv Lev, someone who was a generous of heart, brought various jewelry and things for the Mishkan. Someone who didn't have that generosity didn't bother giving. But Lara, when it came to a donation for bad for the golden calf, it said all the people took the gold rings. All the people gave for the Egel, even those who weren't super generous, because the Harav was so strong. The Taiva, when it comes to good things, and the people have to go to receive the Torah, it says, he took the people, they didn't go of their own accord, he sort of dragged them. But when it comes to doing bad, it says, you all came to me, because the Harav pushed them so. Now, what about the Taiva? Let's say to sing the Shir of the Sea, it says, Az Yashem Moshe Bnei Yisrael. So after Moshe started, then everyone else joined in. Whereas Lara, when it comes for bad, when the spies came back and spoke bad, it says, all the people lifted up their voice. He says, yes, Sophania told off the Jewish people for getting up so early to do bad more than doing good. But bad, it says, Hishkimu, they got up early, so they did bad. Any bad thing they did, they did it early. We cannot understand this nation, that they don't always have das. If you ask them for money for the golden calf, then they give it. And they ask for money for the Mishkan, they give that as well. This brisa about covering the Aron. It says, you make a covering of the Aron of gold, right? Kaperes, Yavai Zahav shall kaperes, the gold of the kaperes, Yichaper should provide a forgiveness. Al Zahavai shall egel, on the gold of the golden calf. Okay? So this should be a kapara for the golden calf, the kaperes. Now, everyone asks, how can it be a kapara for the Ovona Egel? Usually we have a rule that the attacker shouldn't be the defender. So the Kohen Gadol wasn't allowed to wear gold when he went into the Holy of Holies. And because of the golden calf. So now that is a sinner who's coming with a kapara with the thing that he sinned. But otherwise this is proper teshuvah, to change that which you use for bad and use it for good. So the gold of the kapara should be a kapara for the sin of the Egel. They did bad with gold, and now they do good with gold. Whereas the clothes of the Kohen Gadol are not a kapara for the Egel, they're for something else. Since it's not a kapara for that sin, it reminds us of the sin, and therefore it's a kitrug. Okay. Rav Chagai, is that where we are? Rav Chagai b'shem. Yeah, Rav Chagai b'shem v'shmuel bar Nachman. Shalosh Trumas ne'emru b'pasha achas. There are 3 references to donations in the beginning of Pasha's Truma. There's Trumas Adanim, the money they gave for the silver sockets. Then you have Trumas Shkalim for the kabbalas of the Tzibur, and Trumas HaMishkan, which is other things which are needed in the Mishkan. Now, Daber b'nei Yisrael, v'yichuli Truma. You should take from me Truma. Zuv Trumas Adanim, that's the sockets. Me'eit kadesh she'et venuli, v'aytichas Truma, zizu Trumas Shkalim, that's the money for the kabbalas. The third one is also Trumas she'et from Eitam, the donation you shall take from them. silver, gold, silver, and copper. Zuchumas HaMishkan is the donation to build the Mishkan. We mentioned all the things needed in the Mishkan. Trumas HaMishkan was La Mishkan. The donations of the Mishkan went to the Mishkan for the sake of the Mishkan. Ma'ashiratzu Yaviu. Ma'ashis Yaviu. Whatever they want to bring, they could bring. Trumas HaShekalim Lekarbon was for the sacrifices. Ma'ashis Yaviu. Whatever they want to bring, and whatever money they want. But nevertheless, he had Kul and Shabbos, but everyone had to give the same amount. And Trumas Adonim was La'adonim was for the sockets. He says, Ha'ashir la'yabeh v'adon la'yamit. The rich man could not bring too much, the poor man not too little. That was in the setting up of the Mishkan. They all gave a half of the shekel. Trumas Adonim was 603,550 people. And therefore you had 100 kikar and 1,775 shkalim. That was exactly enough, etc. Yeah. Arubun. After Pasha Zest and Pasha Shkalim, now it says Shalosh Trumas reference to 3 donations. It says Masechet Shekalim Daf Hashem, Yitain Trumas Hashem, and Masechet Trumas Hashem. V'chamisha Azabai, Cohen is a Megillah B'Krachim on the 15th. We read the Megillah in the cities. La'ikein Harav Chaber V'chuna Rahuav V'shem Rav Chia Rabba. And he said, well, everyone fulfills their duty by Asa with the 14th, choose one Kriyasa, which is the time. So even a city person with a walled city, if you read it on the 14th, fulfills his duty. So why does that Mishnah say that people in the city read on the 15th, and does not say their main Kriya, which is on the 14th? It's mashma that he fulfills his duty only on the 15th. And that's why the Mishnah says that the Zman Kriya, the Megillah, together with other people, was on the 15th. Even though we've already learned in Megillah, whatever. It says to tell us, just like other things which are mentioned only on the 15th, based in only were particular about the Shlichim going out, on that time. So also the reading of Megillah of the people in the city is on the 15th. And according to this, he says if they read it early, they do not fulfill their duty. That's the question. So that's the point. They won't fulfill their duty. Then the Gemara says, no, it could be, if a person in the city read it on the 14th, he has fulfilled his duty. So why does the Talmud mention the 15th? To teach you the mitzvahs that apply on the second Adar, right, only apply on the second Adar. If you read them again on the Adar Rishon, and then there's an extra month, you have to read it again in Adar Sheni, right? So other things mentioned in our Mishnah, the Shlichim Beis didn't do it on the 15th of Adar. If they do it the first Adar, and then there's a new month, they have to go and do it again. Right, the main thing is, Zman Kriya Megillah is Masechet Megillah, but here we're telling you, we're comparing it to other things if they're done on the 15th. So, the time of the Kriya is the 15th. Even if they read it on the 14th, they might fulfill their duty with it. Rabbi Yosef Ravacha, Rabbi Yisibin, they were sitting. Rabbi Yosef Ravacha, he says, let me establish it. It makes more sense, Rav Chelbai, that, if a guy on the 15th read on the 14th, he fulfills his duty. That's if he's done it. That's what he's telling you. What's happened has happened. Right? Do you think even for the future that you should go and read on the 14th? Lie. No. If you read it on the 14th and you still got the 15th in front of you, he says lie. He says you're not chayav to go and read it on the 15th. You have fulfilled your duty. So not only l'shava ela laba, but even laba, you won't have to read it again. But Tani related to the Brayso Makim Shenoga the Kreisa, where they read the Megillah Shnei Yamim on the 14th and the 15th because they have a doubt. Cohen knows from Shnei Yamim, they read it both days. And according to Rav Chelbai, if you read it on the 14th, fulfills his duty. So why is there a case of Suffolk? You have to read it again on the other day. Once you've read it already on the 14th, you fulfilled your duty. Even if it was just Mukafes Chayma. Amalei, Ofanal Suffolk. He says, I also hold like Rav Chelbai. That explains words, but it's not a question on the Brisa. I also hold this like Rav Chelbai, okay, but he doesn't really explain why it's not a question on Rav Chelbai from the Brisa. So we bring another Amora who explains on Ramana, but Yos, there's no question on Rav Chelbai from this Brisa because Ilu ben Chamisha Asa. Imagine someone whose time is the 15th. Shekar Babasa, he read it on the 14th. V'loikar Chamisha Asa, and didn't read it on the 15th. Shema Shomerlai. Are we going to tell him you should go ahead and do this? Imamad Kain, if you're doing that, you've just got rid of the 15th. You're allowing people to just read the 14th, forget the 15th, right? So that's not very good. Rav Chaim is talking about somebody who read it once on the 14th, it so happened. He says, okay, that person doesn't have to read it again. But we don't want to encourage people just to read it on the 14th. The mitzvahs that apply on Adar Sheni, like Matzos of Yodim, Abba Parshias, and Nagis Rishon, they don't apply the first month. Chusman, a husband of a Tanis, and Shavim Jam Bazar. Just like we can't have eulogies in the second Adar, you can't have eulogies and fasts on the 14th, 15th, in the first Adar. Rabbar of Yemi B'Shem Rab, the Shem 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 Levi, Halacha of Shem Gamliel, Halacha is like Shem Gamliel, Rav Chona Rab Tziporin, Amma, he says, Hinig Rav Chanina, he kept the minag, but Tziporin, Kahadar, like this did, Rav Shem Gamliel. Lai Amma Ela Hinig. Now Rav Chona Rabba, he says, look, Rav Chanina kept everyone doing like the Psak of Shem Gamliel. He never said Allah is like him. He just got everyone accustomed to that. Aber le'inya and shtaros, when it comes to documents, kaisvin ba'adar rishon. In the Adar, first Adar, we write rishon. There's different girsas here. One of the girsas is gishon. Ba'adar sheni, we write stam. Just write Adar for Adar sheni. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda, he says Adar Rishon is right stam, and Adar Sheni, Kaisvin, we write the letter Tuf, which is short for Tinyana, like second, but that's good enough. Okay. Mesaknin Esadrachim, a few more lines. Mesaknin Esadrachim, we prepare the roads, there's Rachovis and the palaces, the squares, there's Mikvas Hamayim, Oisin Kol Sachai Rabim, all the communal things that are needed. Of course, money matter laws, life and death laws, laws of giving lashes, arachin, and various redemptions that are required for Haramin, people donating dedications to Beis Mikdash, for Hegdash, other cases of things becoming Hegdash. Or mashkin esasaita, any woman who was possibly seduced, and we don't know for sure, was she adulterous, we give her to drink. The Savin is a para, if they need to burn the paraduma to make new ashes, they do that. But often Egla Rufa, kill any Egla Rufa where a person was found dead and we don't know who killed him. Right, saying Eved Ivri will bore the hole in the Eved Ivri and Matarin Sambasaira and carry out any purification processes that are needed for Masaira. Mafakis Amino Malgabeimum Chalamayas, you're allowed to remove a new shoe from the machinery, the form that it was on, because taking it off the machinery is not a craftsman's work. But you cannot put it back because that's considered a craftsman's work. And we do the graves. Now, didn't we learn they already did it from the 15th of Adar? So why does the Mishnah say in Moed Katan? It says you do it again on Chol Moed Pesach. So he says, Tipso is talking about a case you have a chet of Shok Yeshamim, the water has rinsed it away. So usually you don't get a lot of rain after the 15th of Adar. But if it did happen, then they would do it. Okay. They also go out for Kalayim. Have not learned that they already went out for Kalayim on the 15th of Adar. So why are they going out again? That the seeds they grew late. We couldn't tell things which were still growing, not growing. Okay? To be continued, Rabbi Sai.